Hello, welcome everyone to the class today. We're going to be looking into the market together and we are talking about backtesting for high probability trades. Okay, it's our desire as traders to find trades that are of better quality all the time, if possible, right? So that even if we lose some, the ones that go our way will be bigger and we can go home with net profits. That's our goal. Now, one of the questions that we may then ask is, how do I find high quality trades? How do I analyze my charts or whatever I like to analyze, whether I am a fundamental analyst, sentiment? How do I analyze in order for me to find high probability trades? So that's what we're going to be talking about in the class today. Whether you're tuning in with me on the YouTube or on our website, I'm happy to have you here today. Use the chat box as much as possible. Ask me your questions. I am here ready and willing to answer all of them with you, okay? By the way, my name is Olugbemi and I'm tuning in from Nigeria. So when you tune in with me, you may want to introduce yourself. Let me know where you're joining from. We have Boyke with us. Good to have you here, Boyke. How are you doing today? What are you looking at in the market? What are you trading? Okay, so let's talk about backtesting. We're going to be looking at mainly manual backtesting, okay, because there are different ways of backtesting. A lot of people like to use software to automate the backtesting process, but we are going to be looking mainly at manual backtesting, and then we'll look at examples for ourselves, like try to practice how to do it on your own a little bit, okay? So talking about backtest, it is important that traders um, quantify their risk and return for their strategy in order for them to trade efficiently. Now, how am I able to quantify the risk and return? How do I know that the strategy I'm trading is going to make sense or is going to work at all in the first place? A way I can do that is to look back in history and see that if they've worked in the past or not. If they've worked in the past, I have more confidence that they will likely work in the future. So analyzing the history and predicting the future behavior of his trading strategy is at the core of backtesting. We backtest, we look back in history because we want to have idea what has happened in the past, how as a particular instrument behaved in the past, the strategy I want to trade with, the setup that I have, how does it perform? How has it performed in the past? Miriam, good to have you here. How are you doing today? It's been a while. I have you on the session last. Okay. So it promotes a tested method instead of using quick random tips. All right. If you go on the internet, you're going to see a lot of trading tips here and there. Of course, you can't use all of them in finding your trades at every single time. So what is important is for you to define a strategy that works. And what that is going to do for you is to give you clarity. You know, you're clear about what you want to do. You have rules in place that are guiding your trade. So you take tested, proven strategies in your trades. And how can you test and prove a strategy? Back testing. You can always also forward test. So there's something called back testing. There's also what we call forward testing. Forward testing is actually doing the trade. You're buying and selling, whether you're using your demo account or you're using a live account, you're practicing using doing the trading, doing the proper actual trading in the live market. But back testing is you looking back in the history, what has happened in the past. If I had entered with this strategy at this point, what would have happened? Would it have gone my way or would it have gone against me? And you can backtest like that in 2 years. The interesting thing is that our chart, the trading chart, gives us this opportunity. If you open up your chart, you have the opportunity to go back in history in 2 years. All right. let's look at it from the weekly. On the weekly, if I just scroll back for a while now, what am I going to see? I would see that I can scroll into so many years in the past. This is 2003. That's 20 years ago. So if I have the time and I really want to sit with this, I can say, okay, let's backtest for some number of years into the past. Let's see what has happened in the past if I am using this strategy. For instance, I love to trade using chart patterns. So I'm looking for a chart pattern that works. How do I tell if the pattern works? Okay. A way I can tell is to go back in history and see when they are formed in the past and if they worked then. Um, on YouTube, we have Russell Espinal. Good to have you. I think that's French. Unfortunately, I don't speak it. We also have Anna 5. I am new here. Kindly help. Okay, I'm happy to have you here. For you to continue enjoying after my session on YouTube here, please go to xm.com and log into the live education platform. You can also open your account there. You can send a chat from the website to the customer care unit so that you can get an answer to any question you have at all. So just go to xm.com or look below this video for um, the website address, and then just go there on the website, ask questions, send a chat, and then ask whatever question you have on how you can get started as you're new with us here. Happy to have you. Okay. Miriam is saying, I was traveling for more than a week. When I got back, it seemed to have lapses on trading. Seems like I have to begin again. Oh, good to have you back, Miriam. How was your trip? Danushka, good to have you here. How are you doing today? And Peter. Peter is joining us early today. I'm happy to have you. Can we have a look at USDCHF? It's been consolidating for a while. Interesting. We're going to look at that and then we'll proceed with what we are discussing on USDCHF. Feel free to ask your questions too. I'm here ready and willing to look at all of them. USDCHF, let's take a look at it. Um, I'm starting my analysis from the weekly. And this USDCHF, I was selling it at the time because I had seen a breakout here, right? So if you look at this area, we have like an area of support. If I'm taking it as an area, in fact, I can pick all of these lows together and say, okay, I have an area of support here. What has happened? Price has moved back, got to this level of support, pushed higher above it, and got to the second level of support. The question is it going to break higher or is it going to start pushing to the downside from here? And initially, it broke below here. And just look at the big bearish candle we have breaking below here. Now, this week, it looks like we are not having a very clear movement. The price isn't moving so much. Yes, it looks bullish, but it hasn't moved so much. However, we also have a V pattern. So there are two things I'm considering here. If the V pattern is going to work out, it's likely going to do something like this. Where is my pencil? Um, so we have a V pattern already. It's possible that it is going to retrace a little bit and then push to the upside and start moving up and giving us buy opportunity. So there's a possibility that this will go down a bit, push back to the upside, and starts going up. There's also a possibility that this is actually the move, and so we see a close below here and price begins to go down. In all, I feel that there's a possibility that price is going to move down a little bit. And this is weekly time frame. So if we have some pullback, even if it's just some pullback, before it finally closes above it and begin to go up, then in the short term, there may be an opportunity for a sell if it presents itself. It's around the a resistance, I would say now. As price also touched this area here and push back to the downside. So let's see what happens from here. If it pushes up, however, if it continues to go up, I'd expect that it takes a pause here, push back down and continue up. All right. And in that case, we would have inverted head and shoulders pattern. So there's a lot of possibility on how this can play out. But what I expect the most is that we see a pullback from where we are now. Now, if that pullback is going to happen, let's see what we're going to do from the lower time frame on the daily. So we're around there. You would, if you look at the daily candles, see that in the last few days, the candles have been quite small. It looks like there isn't a lot of momentum to the upside anymore. We're around this area. This was like a resistance in the past. In fact, there was also like a consolidation around there. If price begin to give any pattern for a sell in maybe the 4 hour or the 1 hour time frame, I will be looking for opportunity to jump in and do a sell. On the 4 hour, it's consolidating, but it is still above my two moving averages. So I can't do that sell yet. I'm looking for a sell right there, but I can't do the sell yet because it hasn't given me a clear indication that it is ready to sell. Another thing I see, which is making me expect to see a sell, is that there's a divergence. So we have higher high here on the price chart, and then we have lower high here on the MACD. In that case, if the price for any reason begins to go down, maybe I see a push down below my two moving averages, I'll be looking to sell from here. On the 1 hour, on the other hand, there's already a close with an engulfing bearish candle below the averages. The price has moved back up to around the resistance where it is. If it begins to go down again, closes below my moving averages, maybe closes below a trend line, I may begin to look for opportunity to find that sell. So, I'm looking for a sell, but I need to see some moves that would make me enter that sell. So let's say that I see a break below this trend line on the 1 hour. I in from 1 hour time frame, I'll be looking for the sell. But if this would push up and close higher than this my horizontal resistance line, then of course I would expect that the price continue to go to the upside. Cat Leonard for right? Leonard. Cat Leonard. Good to have you. Cat is joining us on YouTube and he's saying greetings. Happy to have you here with us. All right, so that's what I feel about USDCHF, Peter. And I would really like to see if a close finally happens below my resistance. That would give me an idea of also a buy. Another thing is, I saw a divergence on the 4 hour. I'm also seeing what looks like a divergence here. Price had moved up, giving us higher highs, even though it was quite small, like a kind of ascending channel. We also have a lower high this time around. So there's also a divergence on the 1 hour. Okay, I'm looking forward to applying price action on it. So for now, there is still a possibility for a drop. Yes, I think there's likely a drop. And then, if it drops for some times, maybe it's going to continue to the upside based on the V pattern I was showing you from the weekly time frame. Miriam is saying it was enjoyable. Thank you for asking. It was a family reunion of some sort in Cable. If you heard of that place here in Philippines, glad to be back. Oh, I'm happy to know that. Happy to know you're back and you enjoyed yourself during the family reunion. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Can we please check gold? Nando is saying, good morning. I'm using HEMA RSI as I am operating on Android phone. I need this topic today to understand the use of my signal. Interesting. So we're going to be looking back on how we can back test. Okay. So you're using these signals. You can back test on them. In fact, we can use that as an example to do some, to look out at how we can back test and see if it works out. So for Miriam, let's quickly check on gold that you've asked of. Okay, so currently I have a buy on gold. This is trending to the upside kind of from the lower time frame. Let's start by analyzing it from the weekly. For quite a while, I have been analyzing this weekly time frame, and I am saying that the major trend is still bullish, all right? So if I'm looking at, the major move here, I have an impulse move, a little bit of correction, another impulse move, correction, impulse move, and then I have a long-term correction. But as much as the number of candles we have here on the weekly,